I'm up earlier than I planned. The sky is still gray, rain tapping soft against the window, and I'm feeling a little heavier this morning. Not in a way that needs fixing, just in a way that asks to be heard. The kind of weight you don't sit down, you just share. So I poured my coffee, pressed record, and decided to follow wherever the pour takes me. Let's talk about something that's been sitting with me lately. How nothing real, not nature, not life, not love, moves in straight lines. Rivers don't. They twist, pull, double back. They carve through stone, change course, overflow, and still, they reach the ocean. Trees don't grow in lines either. They reach towards the light, bend around shadows, break, and regrow at angles that don't make sense until you step back and see the shape of it all. Even our bodies, veins, nerves, breath, grief, none of it flows neat. And yet, we keep expecting our lives to. We keep trying to get from point A to point B like there's a map that works for everyone. But maybe the detour is the map. Maybe the mess is how we're supposed to move. Because when I look back on my life, the moments that shaped me most weren't part of the plan. They were the side roads, the breakdowns, the long way around. And today, I want to sit with that. Why we crave straight lines, and why the universe seems to hate them. This is I Drink My Coffee Black and My Whiskey Neat, where we don't shout, we pour. And this morning, we're pouring something curved, something crooked, something honest. I used to think progress meant forward motion. No turns, no doubt, just grind it out, level up, get it right. But life didn't buy into that blueprint. Because every time I thought I was on a straight path, something curved it. A diagnosis. A goodbye I didn't see coming. A plan I had to let die just to keep breathing. And at first, I saw those curves as failure, like I was off course. But lately, I'm starting to think they were the course. Because maybe healing doesn't come in a straight line. Maybe growth doesn't either. Maybe the only people who still believe in straight lines are the ones who've never had to start over. When I look back now, the moments that shaped me the most weren't the ones I planned. They were the ones that made no sense at the time. The ones that felt like detours, but turned out to be introductions to parts of myself I wouldn't have met otherwise. Like the version of me who knows how to let go, who knows how to rebuild, who knows how to sit in the in-between without sprinting through it. That version, he didn't come from a straight line. He came from a collapse, from questions, from rerouting so many times, I forgot what the original destination even was. And nature's the same way. Look around, at anything real. Mountains are messy. Soil is layered. Waves don't hit the shore in straight, clean lines. They crash, recede, shift, return. Even the seasons, they bleed into each other. They don't ask permission to change. They just do. So why do we keep telling ourselves that life should move like a checklist? Step 1, graduate. Step 2, career. Step 3, marriage, kids. Like we're machines, built to follow, built to finish. Never to change course, never to feel. Like there's a finish line for becoming whole. But I've never met anyone who healed that way. Have you? I sure as hell didn't heal in a straight line. Some days I was doing the work. Reading the books, showing up to therapy, breaking through the hard stuff. Other days, I shut down completely. Didn't want to talk, didn't want to feel, just wanted something, anything, to be quiet. And I used to beat myself up for that. Like every time I circled back to the same pain, it meant I hadn't grown. But I've learned something. Progress isn't a ladder, it's a spiral. You return to the same wounds, not to suffer through them again, but to see them differently. To notice you don't flinch the same way this time. To realize you recovered faster. To catch yourself reaching for something softer than you used to. That's growth too, even if it doesn't look like it. There was a season in my life where I had everything mapped out. Business plan, 5-year goals, travel schedules. I had built a whole identity around momentum. And then my body said no. Pain started showing up in places I couldn't ignore. fatigue I couldn't push past, signals I didn't even know how to read yet. And the thing about pain is, it doesn't care about your calendar. It'll derail your whole life just to get your attention. At first, I fought it, tried to outwork it, kept pretending it was temporary, but the longer I resisted the curve, the harder it snapped, until one day I realized this wasn't a setback, it was a redirection. And not the motivational poster kind, not the God's plan kind, just reality. The line I thought I was on was gone, and all I had left was a road that actually existed. The messy one, the one I didn't choose. The one I had to walk slower than I wanted to. But it's also the road that brought me here, to this version of me, the one who's finally honest, finally listening, finally done performing certainty for a world that's winging it just like me. So if you're in one of those seasons where it feels like nothing's moving how it should, where every step forward feels crooked, where the map you were following suddenly stops making sense, maybe you're not off track. Maybe you've just stepped into the part of the story where the real growth begins, the part the straight line couldn't take you to. Some of the most beautiful people I know didn't get there by walking straight lines. They got there through chaos, through heartbreaks that cracked them open, through jobs that burned them out, through friendships that quietly faded, and identities that didn't survive the version they used to be before life changed them. And what made them beautiful wasn't that they made it through untouched, it's that they kept walking, even when the path was crooked, even when the view didn't look like the life they pictured. And that's the thing about real life. It rarely looks like the brochure. It's not clean. It doesn't unfold step by step. It takes turns no one warned you about. You lose people you thought were permanent. You become someone you didn't plan to be. You carry scars no one can see. And yet, somehow, you're still here. Still showing up. Still waking up. Still reaching for meaning in a world that keeps shifting under your feet. That's not failure. That's living. I think we've been fed this idea that if our lives don't look smooth and polished, if our relationships aren't picture perfect, if our careers didn't follow a ladder, if our healing didn't follow a timeline, then we're doing something wrong. But what if the mess isn't the problem? What if it's the proof? The proof that you didn't quit when the story stopped making sense. The proof that you allowed yourself to bend instead of break. The proof that your life isn't a product, it's a process. And the universe? It never cared about symmetry. It never promised clean exits or predictable joy. Look at galaxies. They spiral. They stretch. They wrap light in ways we don't even understand yet. Look at vines. They cling and curl and climb towards whatever light they can find. Look at healing, grief, forgiveness. None of it moves in a straight line. Sometimes you take 2 steps forward and collapse on the third. Sometimes you circle back to a version of yourself you thought you outgrew. And sometimes you finally reach peace, only to find out that it's not permanent, just a pause. And that's okay. We weren't built for linear lives. We were built to adapt, to soften, to reroute, to fall in love again even after the last one shattered us, to trust again, even if our faith has cracks in it, to keep evolving, even when we don't know where the road goes next. And I get it. It's easy to say all this when you're not in the middle of the curve, but I've lived it, and not just once. Let me tell you what it looked like for me. 13 years ago, life felt perfect. I had just met someone I loved deeply, different than anyone I'd known before. I had started my own business. Money was good, really good. I felt solid, in control, on track. She had a dream of becoming a screenwriter, and I told her, go for it. Quit your job. Move to New York. Get your master's at NYU Tisch. I meant it when I said, I'll take care of you. I got you. After graduation, she wanted to move to LA to pitch her work. So we made it happen. Got her an apartment in California. Home base stayed in Georgia. I kept working. I kept climbing. She kept writing. And when the doors didn't open as fast as we'd hope, I told her, don't give up. I still got you. Few years passed, only one pitch. And still, I had her back. Oh, and the family dream? Build a family? We tried everything. Year after year, doctor after doctor, no answers. She felt like giving up. I didn't. I had a promise to keep. And then she got pregnant. First our daughter, then 4 years later, our son. Life felt full, like we'd made it, like I was keeping every promise. And then everything curved. While she was pregnant with our son, my health collapsed. Cancer, neurological breakdowns, bone pain, skin pain, fatigue, symptoms doctors couldn't explain and still can't. And suddenly, I wasn't the one doing the holding anymore. She was holding me now. Her life had joined me on that curved road. The man who once said, "I'll always have your back," now needed her to have his. And it crushed me. Not because she couldn't, but because I had built my whole identity on being the one who could carry. I spent 3 years trying to get back to that road, the one I built, the one I promised we'd walk together, but that road's gone. And one day, I stopped looking for it. Because maybe I don't need that road. Maybe I just need a direction, a place to step next. So I started writing, speaking, pouring what was left of me into something new. And then this podcast happened. I don't know where it's taking me, but for the first time in years, I'm moving. Not backward, not trying to get back to anything, just forward, wherever that leads. This podcast didn't come from a strategy. It came from stillness, from surrender, from starting where I was. And yeah, that beginning wasn't clean, but it was mine. So maybe that's the gift of a crooked path. It teaches you to listen deeper, to notice what you used to ignore, to stop chasing timelines that were never really meant for you. And it'll show you what else is out there, what's been waiting beyond the map you thought you needed. Because when you get lost, when life reroutes you, that's when you stumble into the places that change you. Straight lines make you miss things. Opportunities only found in the bends. New directions, new people, new ideas, and new parts of you didn't know existed until the curve demanded you pull them out. And here's the wildest part. Straight roads, they end. If they never bend, they just stop. But a path that curves, it keeps going. It keeps surprising you, stretching you, inviting you into the kind of becoming you can't plan for. And that's what I want now. Not a perfect route, not a clean line, just something honest, something alive, something that doesn't look like anyone else's road, because it isn't. This is I Drink My Coffee Black and My Whiskey Neat, where we don't chase perfection, we pour truth. And this morning, we poured the beauty of not walking in a line. Thanks for being here. Until next time, let the pour lead you, even if the path bends, especially if it bends.